Welcome. If you're a woman who has a sense that there's more out there for you, you're in the right place. I'm Whitney Baker, host of the Electric Ideas podcast. Somewhere along the line of work and kids, life carried on, but I lost track of my truth. I'm on a reflective journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I interview a woman who is lighting her own path and offering others hope. Before our conversation ends, we'll share a reflective question for you to explore. Sometimes all we need is a jolt, a fresh idea, an aha moment that connects us to a sense of possibility. This, my friends, is what I call an electric idea. Welcome back to Electric Ideas. I'm your host, Whitney Baker, and I am so excited to welcome Leslie Randolph to the show today. Leslie is a self-confidence coach for teens, and when I had the pleasure of meeting her in person and she told me about her work, I knew I needed to have her on the show because I know a lot of moms are struggling living in this digital age where there's all of this self-doubt and comparison for girls that seems to be starting at younger and younger ages. So as a coach, Leslie works one-on-one to be a sounding board and a cheerleader and help these young girls who are at such a vulnerable age move past some of this doubt and insecurity and cultivate lifelong skills for self-confidence. And while Leslie's going to share incredible perspective and tools that we as moms can explore, I also really enjoyed this conversation because it brings to light how much our own self-awareness as moms matters. I'm continuing to realize that the more I model self-acceptance and courage in my own life, that it actually helps my daughters create confidence too. Beyond traditional coaching, Leslie is also a motivational speaker. She's done a TEDx, she's a workshop facilitator, and she also hosts the Why Didn't They Tell Us podcast. I know you're going to learn a lot and have loads of great takeaways from this episode, so let's get into it. Hi, Leslie. Welcome to the show.
Whitney, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm thrilled to have you as well. You are a self-confidence coach who works primarily with teen girls, although as we've discussed, I think your work really is relevant for girls at much younger ages. Can you start by just telling us some of these patterns of doubt that might surprise moms to hear that start forming in these teenage girls?
Yeah, and I will say this too. They start much younger and they go much older, right? I often say I'm the self-confidence coach for teenage girls and the teenage girl that still exists in all of us because that self-doubt, it doesn't just go away. It needs to be negotiated with. So I'll give you a personal story, actually. As you brought that up, I was thinking about a time that I was at Target with my not even tween daughter, and she was looking at a pair of socks. And for me, I was like, just get the Hanes 6-pack, right? And it was no, they had to be a certain sock. And I watched her just melt down. And I said, why does it have to be a certain sock? She's like, people are going to make fun of me. It's not about the socks, right? It was about that feeling of what other people are going to think, that awareness of what other people think of me and the impression that they have of me versus I love these socks. And so really quickly at a young age, we're really aware of we have thoughts in our heads, which means people have thoughts about us. And that's really important. We really want people to think a certain way about us. And so we start to question ourselves and we start to question our socks and we start to question what we do and don't do, what we wear, what we say and don't say. And that impacts who we become and what we do in our lives.
Oh, that is such a great example because for a mom, especially, I can picture, you're shuffling through Target. You're probably trying to, get somewhere or get home to make dinner or whatever. You're probably like, yeah, grab some stocks. But sometimes even these little things, girls that age start putting tons of pressure on themselves. And one of the conversations I've been having in my household lately, maybe you can shed some light on is, are you buying that because it really actually makes you feel good? Or, my girls are at this age where they're dabbling a little bit with makeup or whatever. And I'm like, are you buying this because it really feels good for you? Or are you buying this because you want to be perceived in a different way or because of somebody else?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, we've dabbled for a long time. Like I said, this was before she was a tween. There was right. And I think because you and I are so entrenched in this world too, and this is my coach confession right at the top of the show. My, red flag went up and I was like, oh no, she's got body issues and confidence issues and she's putting on all this paint to be someone else. And so I just think continued conversations, because when I asked her, I was like, why do you do this? She's like, it's like fun. This is my canvas. Like I'm playing with it. And that'll be a conversation that continues, right? I do workshops at a local dance studio out here. And we were talking about that idea of being yourself. I always tell this one story about this dress that I bought. Oh my gosh, my poor daughter, throwing her under the bus. So many ways. I found this dress, and Whitney, you'd love it because it is so vibrant and funky and it's got pockets and it's like so me, right? And she looked at it and she goes, please don't wear that dress to my birthday party. So for reference, this was in June. Her birthday's in April, but already it was like, please don't, right? And I still bought the dress. That doesn't mean I don't then buy the thing that everybody else does, right? Sometimes we are buying it because everybody else has it. And that's okay too, right? Like we want to be aware of it. We don't want to say, I'm buying this because this is me. It's like skinny jeans. I was a skinny jean girl, but now you're seeing me in the baggy ones. I am buying it because I saw it on someone else and I like it. All of us have that sort of like primal wanting to be part of the pack, wanting to be on the in crowd, right? And I'm not saying the in crowd, but like in circle. I think just awareness of it's really good. No one's going to get this right all the time. I'm not going to wear that dress every day. I'm not going to wear it on her birthday, but I'm going to wear it because I love it, right? And so I think just that awareness of, why am I doing what I'm doing? Do I love my decision? And even when I don't love the decision, how can I talk to myself lovingly about it?
Yeah. I feel like the age group you work with, it's just such a tender age. And I see anecdotally lots of overthinking, but that drive to belong is so important. And maybe there's some more, sophisticated, mature girls out there than I know, but I feel like it's not until adulthood where you kind of just realize that desire to belong is human and it's okay. But I also, I see patterns of girls just doing things to fit in. And I feel like something I imagine you're really good at is helping girls just connect to that inner sense of strength and confidence in terms of their decision making. So, what are some of the tools and ways you work with girls this age to help them kind of connect with themselves and move from a place of true self confidence?
So, a beautiful place to start with this is the definition that I have of self confidence. And this might lead us down some other roads.
Yeah.
But self confidence is knowing who you are, loving and believing in that person. So, it's that feeling of knowing who you are, loving and believing in that person. And self confidence is also the product of taking courageous action, even when every other emotion is present. So I know that's really big. So it starts, but we always start with the knowing, that feeling of self confidence. So who am I? I get to know the girls that I have the privilege of working with, but not so I can like have a file on them. So it's that opportunity for self exploration, that they know who they are. What are the unique gifts and quirks and characteristics that they have that only they have? And we take time to celebrate those, to notice those, to recognize that is unique. I sometimes go back to like those childhood books that we read them, right? Of like, you are uniquely you. We forget about that as we get into those tween, teen, 20 something years. It's like we go from being uniquely ourselves and going to school in rain boots and a princess dress to wearing the same sweatpants and the same sweatshirt and the same shoes and the same socks that everyone else has, right? So a celebration of self, knowing who you are, your strengths, your values, what matters to you, what your purpose and your passions are. So that's a lot of fun. So knowing who you are and then making the choice to love that person. You can borrow the loving lens of what your best friend would say about you, your probably doting mother would say about you. What would other people say about you? And then believing in that girl and her ability to take courageous action. So it starts with that exploration of self and then training our brain to how we talk to ourselves. I totally agree with you, Whitney. I don't think that there is anyone that gets out of those tween and teen years completely unscathed, nor should we. We want to be able to feel all those feelings. But I think when we think about self confidence, it's ensuring that through all of that, you have a friend by your side, and that friend is you.
I love that you're reaching girls, women, wherever they are, with these messages earlier, because something that struck me, we are both in these worlds, but we don't, most of us get taught how to introspect or reflect or self connect. It's a life skill. And I just think it's so powerful that you're connecting with girls at this age because I'm sure you're sharing tools that will, serve them for a lifetime. So just want to reflect your definition back because I have space for your big definition and I love it. So knowing who you are, so you do a lot of self-connection work. And I just want to like what was coming up for me when you were talking is knowing who you are, it also helps you know what you're not for and make it okay.
Yes. So when you were talking about that need for belonging, right? So I also bring in like a bit of biology into my sessions to understand how our human brains work and, that desire, like how important it is to sit at the lunch table. Because if we're not at the lunch table, what that means to a tween or a teen girl, that might mean danger, right? And so we learn about that. But I think part of that idea of belonging is I can't be for everybody. I'm not for everybody. It's about being for the people that are my people. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like me. And that's okay. They shouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's I feel like a powerful permission slip for those girls too, to almost spend more energy on the people that they're truly connected with than giving energy away to the people that are draining and they're never going to mesh with. I love that. Obviously, loving the person, your second part of your definition of loving that person who we are fully. I think one of the most heartbreaking aspects of being a parent is seeing someone you love talk poorly to themselves. And I understand, I'm sure there's tons of gray area and scales, but it is a horrible feeling when you're a mother and your child tries something new or doesn't play well or do well in a something and they use words like I suck or I blew it or I am a failure. As a parent and seated uniquely as a confidence coach, what's the best thing we can do in those scenarios?
Love them. We want to validate that emotion, not the thought associated with the emotion. Like that is a really big feeling. So we want to sit with them in that feeling. Like, oh, I know how hard that must be. If they are willing to let you hug them or tickle their arm or just be with them in that moment, love them. That is a time to validate, not negotiate. When they are not in it, that is a great time to negotiate with that thought because the thought is just the manifestation of the feeling. So let's just be with the feeling. That feeling is not going to last forever. For us as the moms, how hard it is to be in it, but for them as well. So just be there with them in that moment as moms and as coaches. I mean, as a coach, I want to fix it, right? So I have to check myself with this too. Like, no, don't say that about yourself. You're not. Remember that time, right? Like, it sounds so, we know it's true that they don't suck, that they're not failures, but they can't hear it in that moment. We
Mm.
have to calm their body before we have access to their brain. And that is where those thoughts are coming from.
Yeah, that brings up so much because I think it's almost that knee jerk reaction from parents to fix. When they're little, they scrape their knee. Mom's got a band aid, and it's like they get older and their challenges become, it's less like down on the ground, I'm chasing you. It's more like your challenges are more deeply complex, and I feel like these teaching moments are important. So I just love your reflections.
Yeah. And like if they're able to come back to a place of calm, you can do it that day. You can do it, but sit with that feeling. It requires us to feel uncomfortable with their
Mm.
emotion too, which is so hard, right? We want to fix it. So you need to be okay so we can be okay.
Right.
All be okay. We'll all be okay.
I think you nailed it in terms of just letting them know, yeah, this is uncomfortable and I'm here. What about kids? Because, I've seen this. I have tons of nieces and almost all of them are in this range. And it already I see some patterns of they would not even conceive starting a new activity or sport at age 14 because everyone else is so much better than me at that. It's a weird society I feel like we're in where people have started like specializing earlier and all this stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of weird pressure on moms. And also, there's a lot of kids who are starting things earlier and earlier and have had, 10 years of experience doing something by the time you're a teen. And I feel like that can be a barrier to feeling confident trying something as a beginner. So, what advice do you have to kids and parents when they're maybe trying to open themselves up to something new?
So I'm going to answer this twofold because what comes up for me is also just like clarifying, and this is, of course, my world, that confidence is not self confidence. Confidence is when you have evidence of your ability to do something. So, the kid that's been playing soccer since they were 7 is confident in their ability at 14. But if you've never done something before, you do not have confidence. You do not have any evidence of your ability to do it. That is where self confidence comes in. Knowing, like, I'm someone that can learn new things. I can figure this out. If I want to join the soccer team, I love myself enough to be willing to feel all those feelings to try. And I believe in myself and my ability to do it. Now, that sounds so simple. It's not easy. It is not easy. So that is where I think we are just forever planting seeds with our kids. So much of the work I do is seed planting. I might be working with clients who those seeds blossom long after I have the opportunity to work with them, right? But it's continuing to help train our kids' brains of like, you are forever trying something new. That is life. We are always going to be trying something new. And it is not about avoiding that discomfort or rejection or failure. It is the willingness to feel them and to go. Like, so to talk about, like, yeah, you are going to be a beginner, and that's okay. How can you talk to yourself when it's really hard and on the days when everyone is so much better? How can you get off the field and take a moment to like celebrate what went well out there? Even if on the one day it's, I showed up, like to acknowledge that. And for us as parents, to not praise that they made the team, to praise that they were willing to try. That is so huge. That is so hard. How many adults are out there trying new things, right? And our kids, before they have like fully developed brains, are the ones that are out there. Everything is new to them all the time. It is hard, and you can do it. And tell me how I can help you do it. So we want to, in the most lovingly way, push them to continue to step out of or expand that comfort zone. It'll serve them tremendously because we never stop.
I love that distinction between confidence and self confidence. And I think that is really helpful. I also love that you talk about, sometimes as parents, I think it's really easy to expect or hope for these things for our kids and not shine the light back at ourselves and be like, well, where are you doing that in your life, friend? You're expecting your kid to want to be vulnerable and try out for the play. But like, when's the last time you did anything like that? I'm curious, since it's moms who are listening, what advice do you have for moms who want to model that type of confidence for their children?
1000%. Yeah. So, like, our kids forever are watching more than they're listening, right? And we can say till we're blue in the face, XYZ, but they do, they see us. So, this isn't like my rally cry for all moms to go out there and, go do Toastmasters or, a dance class. But that is a beautiful invitation. What would that look like for me? If I am encouraging that, how can I model that? So some of the things that I do in my house, and I mean, I reinvented myself in my 30s, and my kids witnessed all of it. And I talk about it. And I don't just talk about the good. I had the opportunity to give a TED Talk last year. And on the morning of the TED Talk, I told my kids, I am so nervous. I mean, I talked about all those feelings that I was feeling and some of the thoughts that my brain was offering me of what the what if and the worst case scenario, I was really honest about it. And then I came back and reported on the other side of it. So I think we can talk about our feelings, not just the good ones, acknowledge when I am feeling a big feeling and I kept going and I took action and I faced it, right? We can talk about our failures and what we learned from all of them. And we can also model it of taking courageous action. I would also say how you talk about you in front of your children, how you talk about, when you take the selfie, when you don't get in the photo, they're watching it. So, how do you talk about you? They're going to learn how to talk to themselves by the way we talk to ourselves. So, those are the ones I would offer.
I think that all of that is going to resonate a lot with my listeners because it's bringing so much to mind for me. But yeah, I think there's an inclination, and I mean, maybe it was just generationally of how we were brought up, but there's an inclination for a lot of moms to feel like they have to be the one that has it all together. And so they can't share their vulnerability with their children. And obviously, with discretion, we want to there's a time and a place. But I think that just that invitation to be like, oh, I'm actually feeling nervous about this presentation tomorrow and sharing that with them might open up their ability to share a little bit more as well. Don't you think?
100%. So, true self confidence, it is not being fearless, it is fearing less. It is the willingness to experience all those emotions. We're humans, we're going to feel all of them anyway. So, we can resist them or avoid them, or we can be willing to feel them. And 100%, I love what you said, to normalize that for our kids. You're a human and I'm a human with caveats, sure. But that's all of us. It's when we are willing to feel feelings and not avoid them, that is when true I mean, that's true living.
I know that at this age, it's talked about. I think every home is different. I think every mom daughter or parent child relationship is different. And every individual is different. However, I feel like the teens you read, it's like normalize. It's normal for girls to like go off with their friends more, or want to spend more time alone in their room. And I think a lot of moms just want to be let in. And since you work so closely with this cohort of girls in this age group, I'm wondering if you have any advice on how we can genuinely continue to connect with that age, because I can tell you it can be a little sad. It's like amazing when your child gets to be more independent, and that's what you want. You want them to need you less, but you still want to be connected and feel like you're attuned to what's happening, really happening in their life. And teens don't always want to share.
No, right. And so we meet them where they are. Whitney, I don't know if this happens in your house, but by the end of the day, like I am done. I am ready to watch some trashy TV, cuddle with my dog, and like, I'm done. That is when my kids want to talk to me. I'm like,
That is the classic. Yes, every mom can relate.
right? And because I'm not perfect, some days I'm like, go to bed. No. Meet them where they are. If they want to talk about, like, you summon it in you. And I've already like made this deal with myself that maybe I'll wake up later as they get older because they're probably going to be going to bed later. And if they want to talk to me at 11, well, then maybe I need to stop, working out at 6 a.m. so that I have something still in my tank for them. That's something that I've been thinking about. So meet them where they are and then schedule it. Make a date with your daughter. Make a date with your tween or teen of like, when can we do something special for you? And be willing to do what it is they want to do. If what we want is to be let in, we also need to be willing to be let in on their terms and to let go of what our expectations of that would look like. Car rides are a beautiful thing. Car rides are a beautiful time to connect. And I know a lot of parents recognize that, of that ability to be, I'm looking this way, you're looking this way. So maybe there's like hey, no phones in the car. We can set some guidelines to that. I would always recommend that there is time where you are sitting down as a family. In this day and age when our kids are playing soccer and doing cheer and doing theater and doing all the things, our actions need to model our values and what we say. So if we say family matters, we need to be making the time for it as well.
Part of the reason you got into the work you're doing now is that you wanted to share lessons that you learned later in life so others can know better sooner. So, can you share a couple of those lessons that you really hope the people that are open to receiving them at a younger age and maybe listen to and receive today?
I think the biggest one for me is that self-confidence is not it's not something that you're born with. It's not something that you achieve or you earn. Self-confidence is a choice that you make. It is a choice that you make to love and believe in who you are. It is a choice that you make to say, I know this feeling is hard. I know that I'm scared. I know that I feel doubt, and I am willing to keep going. When I was younger, I only thought I would feel self confidence if I looked a certain way or product of my upbringing. There was a certain number on the scale. So much of my self confidence was outsourced to the external. And so it was liberating when I realized I can just love and believe in who I am because I'm me, no prerequisite necessary. I call them the as soon as and the not enough. So I'm not X enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fill in the blank enough. Or as soon as I hit that number on the scale, as soon as I get into this school and then into my 20s. I mean, I did. I figured it out much later. As soon as I get the job, as soon as I get the guy, as soon as, then there are no as soon as, there is, you are enough, full stop. Choose to love and believe in that person. Self confidence is a choice that you make. To that point, because I opened the door a bit, that how I look is not in any way the most important thing about me. I think that's really an important in this day and age where our children are so aware of what people look like and that everyone is seeing them, to put so much more emphasis on what is inside than the facade. So if we go back a moment of like also what moms can do, we want to also be aware of when we are doling out that praise. And I check myself too, because sometimes my kids walk out in some outfits and I'm like, oh, you look so cute. Versus, oh, I love how you put that together. So how I look, how we look is not the most important thing about us. And that is a life lesson, because as you get in to your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you will change. So if all that love and belief in self is based on something that is forever changing versus something that is inside you, it's fleeting.
Yeah. You're hooked to external validation, and that's a losing game, unfortunately, right? Yeah, I'm glad you opened that because I know this can be a Pandora's box, but I can't help but think that the social comparison element is completely overwhelming, regardless of where you are with your kids having social media or not, they all have friends. Like, they are seeing things if they're a teenager. I think that it's probably crippling for some of them, and they're just getting bombarded. And I'm wondering if you have any advice on how we can gently just bring that awareness to our daughters that it's cool to get inspired and follow people that you like, whatever. I don't care if you want to, like we said, buy a hoodie because everyone has it and you love it and whatever, it's the age. But how do we have those conversations about just not falling into the trap of social comparison?
We just keep having them. We keep having them. I call comparison self-confidence kryptonite. It's crippling. And so we want to just really bring like almost like a loving flashlight to our minds and to our girls of like, oh, let's notice that. And we can also look at those situations when our teens are on social media, like have a check-in, like how does it feel when you are doing that? If it feels like if the primary emotions I'm feeling are jealousy or not enoughness or insecurity, remove yourself from that space and diversify your feed so that you find other accounts that lift you up versus bring you down. And so I think I'd start by normalizing it. We all do it. We all do it. Like keeping up with the Joneses, it was not a term that came along with social media. It was long before
Mm,
that. So we do all compare. And with awareness, we can then make the decision to change, whether it's changing the way we're talking to ourselves or changing the situation. If my feed doesn't make me feel good, I can walk away from my feed. I can put my phone down. I can also then, how do I talk to me? Reminding myself that I don't know this person's full life and I know mine. right? So we can change the way we think about it. We can change the situation.
One of my biggest fears that I have for right now with like girls that are on the edge of being teens is I'll go once in a while. Actually, I try to avoid the Starbucks near my house because it's like literally overgrown with teens. And I'm just like, oh my God. But I see them all with their phones out and maybe they're laughing, but sometimes they're not even talking to each other. And it just makes my stomach sink because I think one of the places where we get to practice this confidence is like with our people. You know, we get to like really be ourselves when we find people that give us that space where we just get to like know we're loved and we just get to enjoy ourselves. And I feel like since the pandemic times, I feel like from a social perspective, I just feel like it kind of was two steps in the wrong direction for a lot of girls. And again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a social scientist, but I just feel like there's this bubbling of social anxiety and people not having connectivity in real life at this age. And I'm wondering how that's coming through in your work and maybe how the work you're doing with girls can have some sort of like a positive support or solution to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so and it's a big topic to tackle, right? And I mean, if your listeners have read The Anxious Generation, I mean, that is it, right? Is that
Yeah.
we are here versus in our worlds. So I would say as an invitation to our in our homes, when we have that dinner that we schedule because we say family is so important, making it a screen free. And again, consistent conversations, not just one and done. And maybe you can be the parent that, like, at our house, like, you drop the phone in the basket while you're here. So maybe there's like, hey, let's play a game. And that's really hard. And that does take confidence too for the teen to be like, hey, let's all put our phone down because that phone is security for a lot of people. I don't need to feel all those anxious feelings or all those negative feelings if I have my phone right here. I don't need to feel anything because I'm just right here. Right. So we can set some guidelines in our house for that car ride. The phone is down. For dinner together, the phone is down. Encouraging your daughter to be that. Right. Encouraging maybe your daughter to be that voice. That will probably be very hard. That is hard. And I'm seeing it with you too. We can also model that. 2 years ago, my resolution was I'm not bringing my phone, my New Year's resolution, I'm not bringing my phone to dinner. If it is on the table, without fail, somehow I'll do it. Somehow I will look at it. And it is now like my standing resolution every year. Like it's just going to be a non negotiable. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bring it. So we can model that as well of being present with the people that we're with. I would also say, and I had a conversation with another peer recently about like, make your girls actually talk to other people. My kids always order at restaurants. They're the one that are looking at the server and ordering. I do not order for them. That is an act of self-confidence. Coming to talk to me for 45 minutes each week. That is an act of it. You have to sit and talk to another adult about how you're feeling and what you're thinking. That is an act of self-confidence. And so whether it's calling to make a dinner reservation or ordering at the restaurant, the more that we can practice interacting with other humans, we are strengthening that muscle.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I'll be totally honest. Even though I have many moms in my listenership, I don't do many conversations that have to do with parenting, but I feel like raising and being confident women are so intertwined. And so I really appreciate your willingness to kind of traverse both because we both want to be and raise confident daughters, right?
Absolutely. And no one taught us how to do it. I was later in my life when I realized, and that was why that was my big key takeaway, that I could just choose to believe in me. And when I am loving myself, as this is another takeaway, I have so much more love to give other people. When I am taking care of me, I have so much more bandwidth to take care of others. So it's like that this is really an oxygen mask. Like when we are doing it for ourselves, the reason isn't to go be better moms. It's just a beautiful byproduct of it. And so I wish I had known it sooner, but I'm so glad that I do. And I get to share it with other women who are walking alongside me and for our next generation to become just empowered and powerful women.
Absolutely. I always like to close with the reflection. So when it comes to moms wanting to raise confident daughters, what's one question we could be asking ourselves?
How can I go first? How can I show, not tell?
Love that. This was so wonderful to connect. Time flew by. I'll have to have you back on because I know that listeners are going to love you and want to learn more. So, where can my community find you and follow you and hopefully hire you to come talk at their schools?
Oh, Whitney, thank you so much for that. I am the Coach Chronicles on social, and you can find me online at confidencecoachforgirls.com. And if you like listening to me, you can tune into my podcast, Why Didn't They Tell Us? With the lessons I learned late in life. So, Whitney, thank you. This is such a privilege, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.